Hello and welcome to the session 3, that is the week 3 for the AutoCAD drafting session that is a course for AutoCAD Essential for Civil Engineers. So week 3 is sketching and editing 3, continued from the previous sketching and editing. So in this week we are going to cover some of the very important tools and options like the object snaps, arcs, construction lines, multiple points, and layers, in fact. And there are so many modified tools such as mirror, trim, extend, explode, lengthen, align, break, and join. This is a very important session where we would be learning some of the very major tools that are used most often, like the object snaps and tracking, and there are a lot of things that I will be taking forward over here. So let's start with the object snapping. So here we have the object snap. So what do object snap do normally? The object snap normally is a kind of a process or a tool that basically settings, in fact, in AutoCAD that snaps to the point that we require. Like many times we want to acquire the endpoint of a line or an endpoint of an arc, or to get the center of the arc, or to get the intersection between two lines. So it is a very handy tool, and it makes the AutoCAD drafting more powerful. So there are certain snapping options that you can see in the left and the right, where we have the shortcut menus as well as in the toolbars of the object snap toolbar. But here I would be taking you towards very basics and how to start with object snap settings. So prior to that, there are certain settings over here, like you can see that in the options dialog box there is a setting called auto snap setting. Then we have the object snap options like ignore hatch objects, ignore dimension line, extension line. So there are various settings in the drafting while we are doing it. So we will be taking this some of the options that we will be talking about in near future or during this session, where we will talk about a specific option, like what is this option for like say what is the auto snap marker size, what is the aperture size, and a lot of things that we will discuss from time. So this is where we set the settings, that means in the options dialog box. So to get the options dialog box, so I come to the AutoCAD screen. So here it is the options dialog box. So I type OP over here, and here in the now it directly opens to a particular tab. So it's the display tab. So go to the drafting tab over here. So here we have the various settings for object snapping, and then we have the aperture size, and we have the auto snap marker, and then we have the auto snap aperture box. So there are a lot of settings, so we will know one by one once we will be doing the options of the object snap. So now first thing that you will learn about is the setting first. So let's see how do we do the settings. So to do the setting for the object snap, you need to press OSS for the object snap, and here you have this OS option, and then the drafting settings dialog box opens. So here you have this setting for the object snap. So one thing that you need to remember, the object snap can be toggled on and off in the screen. So this can be toggled on and off by pressing the F3 button. So we talked about the various function keys. So if you press F3 or function F3, the object snap toggles. You can put it on and off. And then there are various settings like the endpoint, the midpoint, the center, the geometric center. So we'll be talking one by one. So here I would suggest that we clear all, and we will be taking the options, all the object snap options one by one. So this is the icon of the endpoint marker. So let's again, you can go to the options dialog box from here itself. So here you have. So you can change the marker size, you can change the aperture size. We will talk about what is the aperture size and what is the marker size. Okay, so here we go. Now, so first thing is that how we put the object snap on. So now you can see the moment you click over here, there is an object snap settings, and here we go. So the moment you put it on, you can see in the status bar, this particular option button is invoked. Or if you press F3, for example, I'm pressing F3. So in case if there's a Windows 10 I'm using. So I press function and F3. So I'm pressing function F3. So you can see the command, the object snap is getting on and off. So now, and in this is the case where we have the object snap on, right? Then we'll be talking about the toolbars. So let's not come to the first how the settings can be done. So what is the endpoint object snap? So let's say I have a line, you have a line, so you have a poly rectangle, right? So let's create a rectangle. Let's say you create a polygon. So you have learned about this, a polygon. So I have the center of the polygon here, and so take an option. So I go with a polygon of, let's say, 6 sides, and take a default option. So I'm having different kind of objects over here, and I'll take an arc, which we will study in the later session this time. So I have an arc that I create an arc. So there are various geometries that you can see. You can see a line, you can see a rectangle, you can see a polygon and other things. So is the object snap working right now? No. When does the object snap works? Even though you have made the setting on, object snap will work the moment you invoke a command which will ask for a point. For example, for the line command, it asks for a point. The moment it asks for the point, so now what is happening? Move the cursor. Now it's asking the first point. So the moment you move the cursor, you see that a marker with the tooltip is displayed. Now you can see the marker over here. So now there is an arrow over here. So this is a setting for the polar snapping. So let's not worry about it how it comes. So then the moment you bring your cursor to the points over here, so the endpoint is marked. So now in this case the arc is having an endpoint. So why this tracking is coming? Because in the settings, so if you look into the setting, you have put the object snap tracking on. So let's put it off for a while. So now you can see that so let me put the object snap on. So here we have the endpoint, you have the arc endpoint, you have the rectangle endpoint. So for the first point you can take any of the endpoints. So you just bring the mouse and the endpoint will be snapped, and you can create objects. So this is how. So endpoint is endpoint of a line or a rectangle or any line object. So if you have a polyline also, now in case of a polyline, so if you want to, now I'm going for a line command. So you can see that you have this endpoint marked at the vertex also. So you can join this and create an object. So it's a very handy tool that you can use. Always you can use when you are asking for an endpoint. Now what happens if, let's say, the snapping is off, the setting is off, let's say you put it off, and then let's say you have a line that you need to go for objects, you want to snap the endpoint. So now let's say the endpoint is not object snapping. So in this case there are certain overrides that you can do for a particular moment. For example, for a particular first point you want an endpoint, so you click on the endpoint and you can see. So what will happen is when you press these overrides, so the overrides are done for a particular time. So how do I do it? For example, I do an override and I press right. So now you can see that when it is asking for a point, so right click over here, so you have an override here. So though you have, let's say here, though you have marked it over here, but the override works when you press right. So here we have the override, so you need an endpoint. So now it is not snapping, but now if you want, because your object snap is off, but still you want to snap the endpoint, so you click right, go for the snap overrides, and then you can see the endpoint. And there is another way I always recommend is with the keyboard. Let's say for example there is a line and you want to snap for the endpoint while you're using a circle with 2 points. Say you circle with 2 points, so you need one endpoint and the other. So in this case, let's say you need to snap. So for the first endpoint of the circle, just type END. So the moment you type END, it will be basically, and bring your mouse to the end, the first point will be snapped. And then you can type it again. So for you say END and then you say circle office option, so endpoint is there. So this is another way of using a transparent command. So these are, when a command is used inside a command, it is called a transparent command. Let's use the transparent command again. So you have this line. Now the object snap is off. So line, and you say END, and you have this endpoint done, and then again you need this endpoint, so you say END. So we'll be learning more transparent commands while we were doing. So this is these settings for the endpoint. Now let's go with the more settings. Like for example, I need a midpoint. So what are the midpoint? Midpoint is the mid of two endpoints. So how do I use it and where do I use it? For example, I have an arc, right? I have an arc, I have a line, I have a rectangle, and I have a polygon of a triangle, let's say. So a polygon, pol, and a triangle is a three side, so center and let's say this. So these are the objects. Now midpoint would be the mid of this segment, mid of this segment, mid of this line, mid of this arc, in fact, because it is having an endpoint, so there's a midpoint over here. So oftenly people confuse midpoint with center point. So midpoint is a point mid of 2 points. So here we have 2 points, 2 endpoints, 1 point here, 1 point here, so we have the midpoint over here. So the settings of the midpoint is like you can see the screen over here. So this is the midpoint of the line, right? So let's say if I have a line command again, so I need a midpoint. So if you bring the cursor, now the snapping is not working. So what you need to do, either you have to press F3 or go to the snap mode, and you can see the midpoint has started working, right? So this is how you can basically snap for the midpoint. So a midpoint is again is the mid of the 2 points. So now let's say if you have a triangle, let's say you're created by a polygon, and you have this triangle here. So you want to join all the midpoints of the triangle and create another geometry. So you have a line. So now you have a mid 1, 2, 3, and here we go. So you have this midpoint, and this is how you can create more geometries. Let's say I have a polygon and I create a square and I click it over here, and let's say I press the ortho on because I want to create something like this. So I want to create some geometries by joining the midpoint. So line, and I have the mid over here, mid over here, mid over here, and mid over here, and here we go. Now let's say the midpoint is off, so then you want to use an override. So again you draw a line. So remember that snapping will not work if the command is not active, and the command should be as it is asking for a point. So if you have a line, it is asking for a point, so the command midpoint will be there, but the snapping setting is off. What I do is, so when I have this line tool, let's say either I for the first point I write MID, so now I can get the midpoint of this. Now for this I have to type again MID. So I keep on doing, because why I am switching off my snapping, in order to have some accidental selection of points, or sometimes more snappings are not required, so you can use the command and the drafting can become very fast. Yeah, so you can click right and go for the snap override and select the midpoint, and here you go. So again see midpoint. So again say after now I think you have learned about midpoints, right? So now let's say you have got the 2 lines here, one line here, and let's say I copy this line over here. So let's say now I want a midpoint which is between these 2 points. Now I don't have a segment. Then what I do, I have an option in snap override which is called mid of 2 points. And the transparent command, again, the transparent command is a command which is used within a command. For example, if let's say I want to create a circle with a center between the mid of these 2 points. I don't have a midpoint. I cannot snap the midpoint over here. Then what I do, so I create a circle. I do the circle command and the center point over here, so there is no mid over here. So if I take the mid option also, so it will be giving the mid over here. So how do I get it? So the one way is to use a transparent command called M2P. That means mid between 2 points. So when you are asked for the center point of a circle, so you say M2P, press enter. So it says first point of the mid. Obviously this is the first point. Now it should be the end point. So not the mid, right? So here you say END, that means endpoint of this. And the second point of the mid would be the endpoint of this. Again, in the snap setting, the endpoint is not used, so I'll be using END. The moment I say END, so it clicks over here, and I want to have the circle built between these two lines. So I press END again, the circle is created. Some of the settings which are not there in the object snap settings can be done by using the transparent commands. That means a command inside a command. So there are shortcuts also. Let's say, okay, let me have the settings pull again. Let's say I have the setting, put it on, right? Endpoint also. So now let's say I go for a circle, and it says a center point. So I click right. You have the snap override. So then you have this option. So if you forget the snapping command, then you can go with the mid between 2 points. So here we go. So you can have this, right, and you can have this, and then you can create the circle. So this is something that where the setting is not there, but you can do it by using the command. So go to the object snap setting. So to go to the object snap setting, the one option that I used is the tool or the OS. You can type OS, the same thing will happen. Now is the center. So now center is something that's center of a circle, center of an ellipse, center of an arc, right? It's not a center of polygon, so it would be center of a curved object. It may be a center of an arc, or center of an ellipse, or a center of a circle. So center point can be snapped by using this. You can see for the midpoint the icon is the triangle, and the center the icon is circle. So for this you need to have circular objects, like I'm having this, or an arc, right? Like I'm having this arc over here, or an ellipse, like I'm not touched the ellipse. So these three things I have. So I need to snap to the point of the circle or the arc or the ellipse. So what I do, so here from the settings you have this object snap settings, and here you can go for the center option. So the moment, and make sure that the center option is selected in the object snap settings. So here we go. So the moment you have this setting on, then invoke any command, let's say line command. So you can just bring the mouse over here towards the center of the circle or the center of the arc. The center would be snapped. So you can see that, right? Circle green color. So there's a snapping over here. So now let's say I'm drawing a line connecting the center of this. It's so easy. So if it is not snapping, just hover your mouse over the object. The center will be snapped. So this is what center snapping all about. Then there is a beautiful option, which I eventually used now, is the geometric center. That means the center of a polygon, center of a rectangle. So if I want to get the center of the rectangle or a polygon, it's a wonderful option that I can basically explore into it. Now let's see how it works. So I did the center, now the nearest. So here is the nearest. So nearest is something that we need to understand. So nearest is any point in the arc. So I use it randomly, because if I have to pick a random point in an arc or in a circle or any object, so I have a difficulty. Let's say I want to pick a random point over here in the locus of the arc, or in the trajectory of the line, or in the locus of the circle. Then this nearest option basically helps me, so to get the nearest option, click on the nearest option. So now what's happened, the moment you can see that the icon is just like two inverted triangles over here. Hover your mouse and click on any point in the curve. So nearest is any point in the trajectory of the curve, right? So nearest can be any point. So nearest is used when you want to draw randomly and connect some of the points in the curve, right? So this is something that can be used. Now what is the transparent command? If let's say the settings are not on. For center, obviously if I want to draw a circle at the center of this arc, so the snapping is not on, so I go for CEN. So here I go. So now you can see the moment I say CEN, the center is there. So if I want to snap the center of this circle, so again I want to create another circle with the same center, so but the snapping is off, so I say CEN. So here I go. So this is and if I want to use the nearest snapping with the transparent command, so I type NEA. So here I go, so nearest, and then every time I have to type because the snapping is not on in the setting, right? So here I go. So here I have this nearest setting, and then I have the node insertion. So I would be covering most of the things. If I miss something, then I can cover it over here, right? Then we have the trunk. This is the running snap. Okay, settings, overriding the running snap, cycling through snaps, right? So I can cycle through the snaps, setting the coordinate entry priority, setting the priority to coordinate entry in the options dialog box, and auto tracking. So that's something that, and the polar tracking we can discuss, and the function of the control key. So let me take it down to all the settings in the object snap dialog box. So come to the AutoCAD. Now here we have another setting. Here is a geometric center we were talking about. So geometric center, like a rectangle, if you want to track the point at the center of a rectangle, then you can use the geometric center snapping. Or you have a polygon, let's say of a 3-side polygon. So let's say I create a polygon, the center of the polygon is this. So let's say I want to track the center of the triangle, or I want to track the center of hexagon. So center. So you have got 3 options over 3 objects. Now let's see how it tracks. I want to join all the center together with a line. So I have a line option. Now I go and set the geometric center. So here it is on. So put the line tool on. So now you can see that it's already started snapping. So there is a star mark over here. Now there's the star mark over there. Right. So geometric center is the geometric center of the closed entity, like rectangle, like the now if there is a polygon, right? If I create a closed entity with the help of a polyline, whether it will snap. So now you can see, now you have created this. So that can be the center of gravity sometimes, or we say CG or something. So there is a closed entity created by a polyline. Let me create more closed entity by a polyline. Let's say I put the ortho off. Let me create a. So it's a beautiful tool indeed. So let's say I come back. So yes, this is a CG centroid. This is a centroid. So you can see the center of the geometry, the centroid of the geometrical figure, right? So it's a very good tool to find out a centroid of a closed geometry. So next setting that we have is the node. So before we'll do the node later on, but we will do the quadrant, intersection, extension, insertion. So we'll do the insertion and the node together, and the perpendicular tangent we did the nearest, and apparent intersection and parallel. So click right. So I have this, let's see, right, and we go with the snap override. Here we have the geometric center. So you can see that is gcen. If you write, like for example, in the point here in the command, as the transparent command, if you type gcen, that means the geometric center will be snapped. So you can type the gcen, the geometric center will be snapped. So again, you can do it either by typing it in the active command, and like I did, or go to the snap override, which if you click on it and right click into the open area, and you find this geometric center, so it will be snapped. So next what I would be doing it, as I suggested, would be taking the quadrant to the intersection, extension, insertion, perpendicular. So let's do it and see how it works. So first of all, the quadrant. So quadrant is the 4 points in the circle. It can be in the arc. Arc is basically a segment of a circle. So if I have this arc, so if I pull it down, so you can see that a circle will be creating, or a quadrant can be of an ellipse. So I have this ellipse done. So let's see how the quadrant works. So let's say I want to draw a line joining all the quadrants of the circle. So here I go and clear all and select the quadrant option. So now you can see the quadrant option is selected, and here we go. Now let's see if it works in the ellipse or not. So yes, it is working in the ellipse, so you can join the quadrants. Similarly, it will basically work in the arc also if the quadrant is there. So this is how the quadrant option works. The next, basically again use the transform command. Like if you want to draw a line, as you say, the command is QUAD, quad. So you can go here and use this, the quad transform key, and create the lines using the quadrant. Put the snap off again. Let me check it again. So if you have a line, so you say QUAD. So you have this quadrant 1, then you have QUAD, then you have the quadrant 2, and you can keep on doing it. QUAD, quadrant 3, and then you have this QUAD, and this you can join it. So you can either go for END, that is the end, or QUAD. This is how you use the quadrant snapping. Next is basically the intersection. So intersection is something that intersection of two curves. It can be an arc or line or two lines intersecting at a point. It's very, very important in civil drafting. So we'll be giving you some examples where you can use it extensively. These are the settings that are used in the civil drafting most oftenly. I use it day in, day out while I am doing a civil drafting or designing or serving any kind of data. I'm using it. These points are very, very important. I'll tell you, these points are very, very important. Anyway, so now intersection. So intersection is, let's say I'll be taking 3-4 options together. Let's say I have lines which is intersection. So let me take intersections, and then we will have the perpendicular, tangent together. So I will take intersection, perpendicular, and tangent, all the three options together. So intersection is, for example, I want to, so let me set it over here. So in the object snap, I have the perpendicular, I have the tangent, I have the intersection, all the three settings done. So here I go with the intersection option. So now I put it on. Make sure you press F3 or click here for the object snap option on. So you have this, let's say you want to create a circle at the intersection of the line and the circle. So center point should be there. Just to move your cursor over here, now you can find this arrow, cross arrow intersection, and the tooltip is there. So you can draft it. Again, you can have the intersection here, draft it. So is this an intersection? Yes, this is an intersection where two line meets is an intersection. So with this you have more intersections, right? So now you can see that a lot of intersections are created. So then you have the perpendicular. So let me take a case here. So you have this arc over here, you have this line over here, you have the circle over here, a lot of geometries, right? And let's see, perpendicular is something that if you want to draw a line, let's say in case a line which is perpendicular to any of the three objects. So you know what will happen is, just bring the mouse or the cursor over the objects, you will find the perpendicular, right? And in case here, let's say you find the perpendicular, right? Bring it here. So just hover it and see that, you know, it is snapping over here as the perpendicular. So you can see the mark over here, the perpendicular sign. So be very observant about the perpendicular sign. So perpendicular is again a very, very fantastic object snapping setting, which basically snap to a point which is perpendicular to a line. So in a curve, in fact. So this is the perpendicular. And so when we talk about perpendicular, so it is you know, we should talk about parallel, because these two things work together. Let me take parallel with perpendicular, then I will go with tangent. Okay, so parallel is something when two lines are you know, in parallel to each other, when they are not collinear in fact, but they run in parallelism. So for example, if I have a line over here, and if I want to draw a line which is parallel to this line, so I start it over here and hover it over here. So the moment I bring it to the line, a parallel snapping will be there, and just move the mouse and you can see that there is a tracking over here of the parallelism. So again, you have this and you can see the tracking over